Good evening. You are welcome to TechBiz Transformation Series, and it's brought to you by Eco Innovation Center. You do know Eco Innovation Center. We commercialize and accelerate innovation. For TechBiz series, the whole objective is to support the journey of entrepreneurship. Whether you are just thinking or considering about entrepreneurship, or you are already into it as a small business, or you are in the growth stage, no matter the stage that you are at, TechBiz is here to support you. And we're here every Thursday, 5 p.m. Nigerian time, and we bring to you experts in various fields that impact your business. We have various testimonials. People have positive stories to tell about how TechBiz has impacted their businesses. It's a lot of expertise that we bring, and we bring it free of charge, simply because we are focused on helping to build, helping to adapt businesses, and helping these businesses to thrive. As an introduction, I'm Doja Ikeriche. I'm a business strategist. I've done this for many years, and I've done this as well in many countries. So quick housekeeping rules. We would have our speaker. She's already on. I'll introduce her, but we'll have her speak for about 25 to 30 minutes. While she's speaking, feel free to already start putting your questions in the chat box. At the end of her presentation, we're then going to get a lot more conversational. So if you want to ask your question verbally, please feel free to unmute, to raise your hand, and then we'll unmute you, and then you can ask your question verbally. I think it's important that we participate. It's important that we ask, as many questions as possible, because we want to clarify. Today, we're going to be talking about hitting your sales target. What better time to talk about it? You want to deliver. You want to push your team, galvanize your team to deliver. I don't know how January went. February, hopefully, fingers crossed, will go even better. But you've seen the news. We're talking about a recession. We're talking about economic difficulty. They're talking about out-of-pocket crunch with customers. This is the time to learn and understand how we hit our targets. So who better to teach us but Joy Nwokoro? Joy is the head of, she's the founder of Sales to Wealth. Joy, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you so much. It's a delight to be here, doing what I know to do best, sharing and teaching and training about sales and marketing. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Fantastic, Joy. A quick one from me before I hand it over to you is for everyone to know that the presentation and the recording of this webinar will be available at www.ecoicenter.com/webinar. So you can go there after this webinar to download the presentation or to download, to view the video on the site. Elvis, please put the website in the chat box so that everyone can have full visibility. Joy, the show is yours. Please take it up from here.
Thank you. A very warm good evening, everyone. I see the room is getting filled up, and like I said, it's always a delight to have to train people, entrepreneurs, and both emerging entrepreneurs and those who already are in the game, how to consistently hit their sales target, how to go about sales and marketing, and what have you. So I don't think I need any more introduction. I think Roger already helped me. However, I'll just chip in a couple of more stuff. So I'm a sales strategist, a sales copywriter, a researcher. I'm passionate about helping people profit in their businesses, howbeit also to profit from their passion. Usually I advocate that you run businesses that you've got passion for, so that when the chips are down, when challenges come, you will be able to hang tough in there, even whilst you push to break through. So I've helped over 500 business people pull through in their businesses, and I'm looking forward to train you this evening such that you're able to use the valuable stuff I will share with you to make your businesses move forward. So we're looking at hitting your sales target consistently. First of all, we'll look at what the first slide says. Can move on to the first slide. It says marketing and sales explained. Marketing and sales. Is the slide up?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So as business people, a lot of us have a misconception when it comes to marketing and sales. For some persons think marketing is sales and then sales is marketing. But it is usually very important that we dissect the two and then break off any misconception we may have concerning marketing and sales. And then this is very important, especially if you're running an online business. I'm also going to address folks who are running a brick and mortar kind of businesses. So if your business, for instance, isn't predominantly online, or if your business is majorly an offline thing, then we say it's a brick and mortar kind of business. However, if your business is online, okay, when you're running, there's some folks here who may not have offices, that's physical offices, who may not have physical spaces where they go to every morning to carry out their businesses, where their phones or their social media handles, it could be on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, is where they resume every morning. For such businesses, we do not call such businesses brick and mortar kind of businesses. However, our topic this evening will profit both forms of businesses, both structures of businesses. So we're looking at marketing and sales. That's the misconception. Like I said, many persons do not know that there's a thin line between marketing and sales. So marketing and sales can be likened to that situation where you have to go through the processes of wooing a woman or wooing a lady for marriage if you're a guy. So let's look at the scenario. A guy meets a lady and then he begins to water the ground. He has a plan to eventually pop the will you marry me question. Or he starts with, calling her for a date, maybe calling her on phone, maybe sending her texts, chatting her up. Eventually they meet face to face, and then, they carry on maybe from the first date, they move on to the second date, there's a third date, eventually they become friends. And after becoming friends, they begin to think about moving the relationship some notches higher. And then, eventually he pops the question. So marketing, if we're to separate or explain what marketing means before we move on to sales, marketing are those activities, in quotes, which the guy I just talked about right now, or someone, the scenario I just painted right now, the marketing part is where the guy has to water the ground to win the heart of this lady, to make sure she's liking him, to make sure they are moving together and they're moving on the same pedestal. And then eventually, if she agrees, he pops the question. So at the point where he pops the will you marry me question over a period of time, it could be say over a period of 6 months, it could be over a period of 7 months, it could be over a period of 1 year, that point at which he stops wooing her and pop the will you marry me question, from that point, sales takes place. So basically or technically, online or offline when you're trying to entice your prospects, when you're trying to entice your target audience. So if, for instance, your business is predominantly offline, and then I know I have met some persons who would say, I don't have a social media handle, I'm not really a techie person, so I really do my stuff offline. So for such persons, the marketing or the wooing activities will boil down to those marketing materials or those advertising materials the person puts out there to make people get aware of that business. So take, for instance, someone who runs a boutique, okay? Someone who runs a boutique, maybe somewhere in Ikeja, and the person isn't the person doesn't really have an online presence. And so the person relies on her shop, you know, or her shop to display her goods. So let's take, for instance, again, that she just moved into a particular area and she wants to be known. Now, chances are that she would print flyers, okay? She would print flyers. She would have call cards. She may even want to do road shows where she's like, you know, spreading awareness, maybe different streets or localities around the area to make them understand that, okay, somebody who deals in female wears or male wears actually stays in so and so place not far from here. You know, if you need such products, you can always visit me. Okay, so those activities where she tries to make herself known or visible is what we call the marketing activities. That's for the brick and mortar kind of business, or offline businesses. Now, when we come online, your marketing activities basically will be hinged on those kind of content or materials you put out there to make people get aware of your maybe social media handle, or maybe you're on Instagram. Those things you post and make people, you know, want to follow you, you know, and then, you know, get acquainted with what you're posting or what you're selling. Okay, and then this cuts across different social media platforms. So technically, sales refers to all the activities that lead to selling of the products. Sorry, marketing marketing has to do with the activities that lead to the selling of the product. So it means all the processes you use to arrive before you get to that stage where you have convinced a prospect, you have convinced a target, and then the target knows that at this point, I have got to part ways with my money to buy this product. So at that point, the marketing activities ends, and then the sales activity begins. Okay, and then, okay, so when we talk about the sales activities, what are we talking about? So recall I said, I liken the marketing to that scenario, finalizing your prospects. Your prospect is aware of what you do. They are convinced. You know, the next step now becomes that part where you have got to close your sales. Okay, we're going to get to that part. But I want us to look at the types of marketing. The types of marketing we have, because it will be very important to break down the types of marketing we have so that we better understand the activities that lead to sales. Some persons just come online, you know, for those of us who run businesses online, we want to come online. I want to begin to just sell, okay? We want to begin to pump people with our products, pictures of our products. It could be for pictures of our services, you know. For instance, maybe you're into dry cleaning kind of business or into laundry business. You want to begin to tell people about your products, how you offer your services, the kind of discounts you offer, and all of that. Many people want to do this. They want to just jump into this without first taking these things step after the other. So types of marketing, like I said. So the brick and mortar type of marketing, of course, we know has to do with word of mouth, you know, word of mouth, where maybe somebody you're into frozen foods business, and then let's say Mrs. A comes today to buy some let's say gizzard or chicken from you, maybe a kilo or two from you, and then once she buys it, she goes home, and then maybe next week she brings someone shows up at your shop, and then the person says, okay, one Mrs. A who came here to buy this stuff actually told me there was a frozen food like this in this area. That was why I came. So what happened there? There was a word of mouth kind of advertisement that took place. Okay. There's also the road show. There's the part of where you print flyers. You want to give people flyers to come, you know, your shop, know your boutique, know your studio. There's the adverts, for instance. There's the jingle part, you know, for businesses that have to like reach a larger audience. They want to do radio. They want to also do Facebook ads and everything. That's for the brick and mortar kind of type of marketing. When we come online, we're talking about the bait marketing, BAIT type of marketing. So what is a bait? A bait, for instance, before I define what a bait is, what a bait is. So let's paint the scenario again. I've got a pond. I don't have a pond. There's this pond, or there's this place I can actually fish from. And of course, I know that for me to be able to get fish, I've got to do some things. I have to use my net. I have to use my hook. I've got to be strategic. So if I want to get this, if I want to go fishing, chances are that I want to also go there with fish meal. I want to go there with fish meal such that when I get there, I can easily maybe sprinkle some fish meal in that particular area of pond where I want to fish from. So once I put in the fish meal, what happens? The fishes could actually come out. Oh my God, NEPA. Sorry, I hope. Let's continue. The gen will come on soon. Let's continue. Can you see me? Can you still see me?
It's fine. It's fine. Please go ahead.
Okay. So the gen will come on pretty soon. Okay. So once I'm able to get some fish meals into the pond, chances are that the fishes would come out of their hiding places to come get the fish meal. And then once I launch my net into the pond, chances are that at that point I will catch fishes. I will catch loads of fishes. So what happened there? I had to use a bait. I had to give them what they wanted. I had to feed the fishes what they wanted, just so that they can come out of their hiding places to come, enter my net, and then I can catch them. And so this also applies to running a business online. A lot of persons do not understand that with running businesses online, you have got to offer your prospects, offer your target audience what they want. So the mistakes that a lot of business persons do is they come online and they begin to post just pictures of their products. So if, for instance, they post thrice a day, let's say you have a Facebook page or you have an Instagram page and you sell okay, let's say you're into real estate. For instance, you sell properties. So what happens is you post thrice a day, for instance, and then for the 3 times you come online, what you do is you just post pictures of the properties you have for sale. You come on this morning and you tell us, I have this property in Ikoyi for sale. You come in the afternoon, tell us you have a property in VI for sale. You come in the evening, tell us there's a property in Lekki for sale, and all of that. What happens when you do that? You totally disconnect from your target audience. Now, in sales, we say you are salesy, SALESY. When we say you're salesy, it means you aren't adding value to your followers or your prospects. You're only after, pumping your products, pushing their products in their faces, wanting them to be aware of what you sell without you giving real value. And then in running a business online, you have got to understand that value is what drives sales. So in driving value, you have got to understand that content marketing has to come to play. So you see, I have broken down what bait marketing is. I have gone a notch higher to tell you that in trying to bait anybody to come buy your product, you have got to give value. And then in trying to give value, you have got to engage in content marketing. What is content marketing? Content marketing is about giving valuable information. That's in lay terms now, in the most simplest form, so you understand what I'm talking about. Content marketing has to do with you giving valuable information that adds value to your prospects. So take, for instance, again, the guy who sells properties. So instead of him to come and keep posting pictures of the buildings he has for sale or the lands he has for sale, what he has to do is begin to sensitize people on how to know the right kind of property to buy. Okay, he needs to begin to sensitize people on how to know the best locations to buy properties that are in demand. What has he done, or what is he trying to do when he does that? He's trying to engage in content marketing. Now he's trying to give value by pushing valuable content to them, such that they would begin to consider what he has for sale. So if he comes and tells us today that, okay, there's a property in Lekki that is a hot cake, but he now breaks down that, okay, this is how you know a particular area in Lekki where, you know, if you buy a property, it will be in high demand. Or he wants to come and begin to give us information where he says, okay, if you buy a property in Banana Island in ABCXYZ Street, you know, you will be able to recoup your money as fast as you can. So what is he doing? He's beginning to shift focus from his product. He's beginning to shift focus from the property he sells to something more informative and educative and valuable that would add value to his prospect and thereby make them assume that he is an expert in his field. So in selling online, in hitting your sales consistently, you have got to understand that the trick is to position yourself like an expert in your field. So you're into, what business do I use? Okay, let's say you're a baker. You're into bakery. Now,
if you look into the chat box, I could give you some examples. So, for instance, Gozier says that he's about to launch a diet and wellness mobile health app. It's called My Diet Energy. So that app, I mean, you could use that as an example. Someone who's launching such a digital product that supports diet and wellness.
It support diet, okay.
And
all
wellness.
Right. Say for instance, okay, you're going into that line of business, for instance. Now, I'm sure there are plants, there may be food plants, or maybe there may be other areas where, you know, other services under that particular niche that he or she may want to like sell out there. Now, but instead of coming every day online to push that product, what he or she needs to do is to begin to share valuable information that bothers, around that subject, around health. You know, it could be weight loss. It could be, okay, trying to avert cancer, or trying to, like, you know, deal with chemicals in our meals, you know, in our everyday meals, in the kind of snacks we have, you know, tips like that can actually endear prospects to you, because what you're doing is you're beginning a little bit to shift focus, or you're beginning to be to feel or to show that you're not being self-centered. Now the thing is, customers are wiser now. Customers can tell if you are desperate, and then people do not want to be associated with a business where you're coming across as being too desperate to make a sale or too desperate to convert paying customers. So when all you do is pump them with the services you have to render or the products you have for sale, what you do is you lose you get disconnected with them.
Joy, looks like we lost you.
They get bored. So they can predict you. They can predict that if you come this morning, you come to tell us to buy your ebook, for instance. They can predict when you come in the app, for instance, to sell, you know. Okay, you want to switch up content, you know, content. Now, the valuable content is that part where you give out information, like I said, for free, you know, tips on how to live right, how to eat right, you know, tips on how to choose the right kind of meals. Now, we're not saying you divulge all the information you are selling. We're not saying you give out all what you ordinarily would sell. Okay, we're only saying you bait them a little. You give out a little, you know, and then hold back a whole lot. All right. So you want to just give them those tips little by little, and then that falls under the valuable content. Your promotional content has to do with the products you're selling, the services you're rendering. So I tell small businesses, when you're trying to hit your sales target or run a profitable business online, it is very important you switch up your content. Make sure you aren't just doing what you have for sale, the products you have for sale, or the services you have to render. You want to switch up with tips and tricks, things that can help them, such that they see you as an expert. People would gravitate towards businesses that position themselves online or on the web as experts versus gravitating themselves, towards businesses that are coming across as desperate, that are coming across as if they are struggling. All right. And the thing is, the trick is that you don't have to go to a business school, for instance, or maybe a bakery school. Okay. You don't have to go to a high-end school or a skill training center. All right. And most of this information that can position you as an expert are available to us online. We get them online. But the idea is make sure you stamp your foot like an expert, such that by the time you now put out information about your wellness, about your diet plans and everything, people will see you as an expert. And so when they begin to think about how to go about their challenges, the first person that comes to mind would be you. And of course, I tell people, you've got to study your competitors. It is very important. You study your competitors to see areas where you can, make adjustments and all that. So let's move on to the next slide right now. I hope I'm not moving too fast.
No, not at all. We're hoping that we can wrap this up in like 5 minutes so that we get to that, conversation part where people can ask their questions. So over to you. So the slide up is sales hacks.
Okay, so the next slide is business structure that makes or mars sales. Yeah. So there are things, or there are ways we have structured, or we tend to want to structure our businesses as small brands that could be detrimental to the whole thing in the long run. Where you're like wondering, where did I go wrong? What did I do? Okay, she has advanced and I'm still here and all that. So basically, when you're running an online business, of course, we know that when you run an online business, you can't do without having a social media handles. It depends on where your audiences are found. For some persons, they want to do majorly Facebook by having Facebook pages, where they reach out to their customers. For some persons, they want to do only WhatsApp, where they put their products on WhatsApp status to come to target people. For some persons, they want to do Instagram to target the more elite, as it were. For some persons, they want to do Twitter. Some persons do everything all together. They do Facebook, they do Instagram, they do Twitter. They're across different social media handles. But it is very important that, number one, you define who your target audience are. It is highly needful that you define who your prospects are. So for some persons, they start their businesses online and they think they can target everybody. They can carry everybody along. All right. So take, for instance, the person who's into the wellness and diet kind of business. So for such person, your target may be people who are, you have options. It may be people who are obese, for instance, people who have an issue with their weight, their weight fluctuating, struggling with their health. For some persons, it may be people who are veggies, okay? And you'll be vegetarians, you're just, reaching out to vegetarians. And another thing is, some persons go into business and, like I said, they find it difficult to niche down, N-I-C-H-E, to niche down. Now, the more you niche down, the more you target those whom you have been called to serve. As a business person, you're in business to solve problems. You're a business solver. You're a problem solver. Now, you cannot be called to solve the problem of everybody. You can't solve everybody's problem. There are a select few. There are a chunk of people you have been called to serve in business. And it is very ideal that you find those people, you define this kind of people so that you don't end up running around in circles. So for the dietitian or the person who's into a diet kind of business, you would be able to target your audience or meet your set targets in terms of the people you have been called to serve, if you're able to niche down. If you're into the diet business, you've got to ask yourself critical questions. Questions like, have you been called to serve adults and children alike? Is it a family thing? Does your services or your products cater to the whole family as a whole? That's the adults, that's the mom, the dads, the children, you know? Or is it a gender thing? Are you targeting the moms who just, had and gave birth, or generally the health of women, okay? Or women who just, who are, C-section mothers who just, went through C-section and are trying to get themselves back in terms of diet, in terms of their body weight and everything. You want to find who your target audience are. The more you're able to niche down, okay, the narrower your niche is, the more you're able to focus to serve these people, and then you become an expert in that field. You become an expert in that field. So take, for instance, some business coaches, for instance, I know a couple who would say, I don't deal with every business as a whole. My own target audience are small brands who are just coming up, people who don't know how to go about stuff, when it comes to running their business. So, startups are their areas of concentration. Okay, for some persons, they say, okay, I'm dealing with those who have been in business for a while, who are trying to structure, their business or scale up their business. For some persons, they will say these business owners who are trying to build systems and structures in their businesses. Now, it is very important that we define our target audience so that we don't end up frustrated. All right, we don't end up frustrated in business. I've had to work with businesses that just that went into oblivion, but decided to dump their businesses to start newer ones. So when I asked them what happened, they would tell me, okay, I started this kind of business. I was frustrated. I didn't make sales, and then something told me I should just enter this line of business. I started this one, and I'm hoping to gain grounds and make profits. Sometimes it boils down to how we started or how we are starting our business. When we critically sit to define who we have been called to serve, it makes the work a whole lot easier. For some persons, many times it comes out of trying to copy other businesses. So take, for instance, you're into the weight loss business, and then you find that there's a competitor who is catering, whose line of business majorly is for vegetarians, okay? Maybe male vegetarians, for instance. And because you have seen that business is booming, we tend to say, okay, let us just add that part again to our business and all that. Now, there's nothing bad in you being versatile, okay? You being trying to take on other parts of businesses based on the demands. But you've got to be sure that you're not deviating from those you have been called to serve. It is very important. Okay.
Joy, can I interrupt you 1 second, okay? Right? Because in that space that you're in, so that we also already start to answer some of the questions. So you're talking about targeting, right? And was some of the questions that had come at the point of registration, and someone was talking about how do I really identify my audience? Yes, I want to solve problems, and maybe this problem that I'm solving is slightly generic. How do I define and sharpen who my target audience is?
Okay, all right. So you're in business, and let's take, for instance, many times when such issues arise, the problem stems from the fact that you may have delved into a business you do not have a passion for. Like I said, when you start a business, when a business is born out of passion, okay, something you love to do, for instance, or something you think you have long yearned to do, or something you have just picked up and then you feel, okay, I have a passion for this business. Ordinarily, you should be able to say, okay, these are the kind of people I want to serve. So, but however, when you have an issue like this, what you have to do is to ask yourself this question. I don't know the kind of business this person who asks this question runs, but let me use the fashion line, the fashion kind of business. So let's say, for instance, I am starting the fashion business, but I have a challenge with knowing who my target audience are. Okay, I've got to first of all ask what is my product? What is my product? What kind of product am I trying to produce, or what kind of product am I trying to sell to my prospects? So what is this I want to sell? So I tell myself, okay, I want to start a female clothing line business. Okay, I want to begin to make ready to wear clothes for females. Now the question again will now be, what kind of females am I going to be making this kind of clothes for? Am I targeting working class women? Am I targeting students? Am I targeting children? Okay, you have to first of all ask yourself, look at the many areas this product can be used, the many ways this product can be used, and by the kind of people this product can be used. When you put pen to paper and then you break down these things, you should be able to arrive at whom your target audience are. So you break down, you're making clothes. You're saying you want to target only women. I'm not making clothes for men. I'm doing only women. Now you ask yourself further questions. What kind of women will be able to afford the clothes I am selling? Now, if, for instance, you want to begin to do only ready-to-wear clothes with lace material, you ask yourself, who and who can afford lace material? Now, you also ask yourself, for instance, what kind of lace material am I going to begin to use for this business? What kind of lace materials? Am I doing high-end lace materials? Am I doing the very, very expensive cord materials, the copion laces, the French laces, the very expensive ones? Now, if you define and say, okay, I want to do high-end laces, then it means automatically your target audience are the high-class women. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can.
Okay, yeah. So automatically, your target audience are the high-class women. Now, where are they located? The VIs of this world, the Lekkis of this world, the Kois of this world, the Banana Islands of this world, So you've got to break it down like that, okay? But if you say, okay, I want to cater for the students. I want to do like the cheaper kind of laces, ready to wear, or maybe the everyday wear kind of materials. So you're targeting the folks who may not be in maybe paid employment, or who are in paid employment but don't earn much. So you're targeting maybe the lower class, and everything. But basically, to arrive at your target audience, you have to break down what your product stands to solve. What will my product be used for? When you break that down, you tell yourself, okay, who can afford this thing my product will be used for? Okay, what kind of raw materials am I going to get to produce these things? All of these things you have to answer. Then when you begin to answer them, you now paint the picture. In sales, we call it developing a customer avatar. You develop a customer avatar. An avatar is that it's more like you just creating
persona,
an imaginary person, an imaginary person or customer in your head, and then begin to define what kind of job will the person do. If the person earns between 40 and 50K, you ask yourself, can he or she afford my product? If the person earns, in 7 figures, can he or she be able to buy my products, and all of that. So you've got to define and break down all of these things to be able to arrive at who your target audience are. So you don't just jump at a business and then assume that, everybody would be your customer. When you break all of these details down, then you will be able to arrive at the people who need your product. And then once you do that, then you now begin to ask yourself, where can they be found? Okay. On Instagram, for instance, we have the high class people who, most of them they're on Facebook, but they many times they are more active on Instagram. Okay, some want to do Twitter and all of that, you know. And then, you know, you want to also ask yourself so many questions actually that can make you arrive at who really
You know,
your
I
target.
want to make sure that we can push in as much as we can. So I see that up on the slide is handling sales objections, and I'm sure that so many people want to hear about this handling sales objections, because I mean, it is definitely a part of selling. People object and say it's too expensive. They say, okay, I don't need this at this point. Oh no, there's another competitor who sells at you know, a better product at a different price. How do you handle sales objections, especially those that are centered around pricing?
Especially, I didn't get that. Especially those that
are centered around pricing.
Okay, pricing. Okay, nice question. So, as a business person, we all understand that sales is the backbone, you know, of any business, especially if your target is to make profit. You know, if you're not a non-for-profit kind of business, it means that you're in business to make profits. It means you're in business to make sales. Not making sales would be tantamount to you being frustrated, to you know, not realizing the objective of starting the business in the first place. So it now becomes really important that I tell people, when you're in business, you've got to learn over time to grow a thick skin. And then your thick skin comes from handling objections. Your thick skin comes from the many no's you will encounter. In fact, for sales to happen, you've got to go through the hurdles of the no's. Yes, because it's very rare that you would you hop onto business, you know, hop on business and come on, and then you're getting yeses here and there, yes, right, I'll buy here, you know. Every business goes through a teething stage. There's that teething stage where you have got to, like, you know, recline again to want to reproject or re-engineer your mind and tell yourself that, okay, I've got to grow past objection. So what am I saying in effect? Sales objections are normal, very normal. However, you have got to push yourself to go past through the objections. How do you do this? So if, for instance, the objections you're getting bothers around pricing, maybe you sell a product for 50K, and then you've tried to market to some couple of persons, and then, you know, you're hearing that, okay, I think it's expensive, I can't afford this. In fact, it happens a lot, you know, online. You're chatting someone up, you're marketing to somebody, and then, you know, once you name the price, you know, there's dead silence. You wouldn't hear a word again from the person. You know, that isn't a verbal, that's not a verbal no, but of course it's a non-verbal no, okay? The price obviously made the person recoil back in her shell or in his shell. So it now becomes your responsibility to make sure that you're pushing past the objections. Now, how do you do this? You want to ask questions. So you have given this person the price of your product or services, and then you're not hearing from the person again, or the person tells you, yeah, I cannot afford it. So, you know, you don't just chicken out like that. You've got to ask questions. Now, if you're not asking questions to make the person buy, you're also asking questions just so that you know how to, you know, structure the way you handle your sales objections next time in case of someone else. So you sell this product for 50K, and then as soon as you announce that, okay, this product you're asking about is 50K, the person tells you, no, I can't afford it. Don't worry. What do? You want to ask questions. You want to ask questions. Why can't you afford this? Okay. Why can't you afford this? You hear questions like, okay, I just paid school fees, or I'm going to pay school fees next week. I can't afford this. Then you ask, how much were you actually thinking, you know, that this product will work? Now, I'm not saying at that point you begin to lower your pricing. okay, or your prices. You're only trying to garner more information from the person to know how to tackle, matters going forward. So the person tells you, this thing, no, I thought it was 30K, or I thought it was going to be 25K, okay? Then you ask the person. There are cases where I advise people, if you can do products, if you can have a system or create a system where your products can be paid in installment, okay? There are some persons that wouldn't mind to pay you and have you keep the products, for instance. Don't forget.
Looks like we lost Joy. That's network challenge.
Your goal is to sell and then your goal also is to make with you without moving. Because the more you're, I'm going to be able to get in newer products. Now, I'm not saying it applies to every kind of business, but if you check yourself and see that your business is such that can accommodate such, okay, that will be fine. The goal is for you not to entirely lose a prospect based on pricing. Now, the person tells you, for instance, that I thought it was 30K, and then you go like, okay, well, we actually offer this service, okay? We actually offer a consideration where you can actually pay maybe like 50%, and then have us still hold on to this product, depending where you pay off and then get your product, okay? Or you can actually, depending on the kind of business you will always come. But on the other hand, you can still push. There are folks you can still push that price to, that would still take on and then pay that price. For instance, you have told them the product is 50K. They have told you it is expensive. Now, it is now for you. You want to break down the processes that made that product 50K, so that the person sees and say, oh, okay, now I understand, it is worth it. So you tell them, okay, this had to happen for it to be here. All of these things came here. These raw materials came from here. We had to do this. We brought in the best hands to, make this product. This product came from so and so place. We had to put in. In fact, we had to even put a 1-year warranty on the products. There's a 1-year warranty or 2 years warranty. When you buy it, we'll come and install for free, and all of that. The idea is to, when you market, for instance, you're bringing your prospect to a level of wanting to buy. When you get to that level of sales, you don't close your mouth and then, watch opportunities slip by you. You want to continue with, tuning, fine-tuning and enticing and wooing, such that the person sees that, okay, I give up. I'm going to buy your products. Okay.
Joy, I completely see what you're saying, especially in the point of persistence and the need to consistently do so. What you're explaining reminds me of what you call FAB. That's FAB: features, advantages, and benefits. So you define, you highlight very clearly what are the features of your product. So this is my wellness app. It has this. At the top of a button, you can see the graph of your consumption. You can see the graph of your activity in the course of the day and the lab.
Exactly.
The advantage of that is that you can easily track what you have consumed, and you can compare that to the calorie usage and the energy that you have used. The benefit of that is that every day you make sure that you create a target and you can meet that target of losing 1 kg per day. So that balance of features, I show you the features, I define clearly what are the advantages, and then what benefits you are going to get from it. So you have the FAB, and that that could actually be clearly stated. Make sure your team knows it. Make sure every single person in your team who is selling, even the ones who are not selling, they need to know the FAB of the product, so that that's what they are delivering consistently. At the very end, don't stop highlighting the benefit. What benefit am I going to get? How is my life going to change by buying this product? Right? Joy, I also want to ask you a question, but before I ask that question, Dixon, the gentleman is driving, but he has a hands-free and he wants to ask a question. So I'm going to look for him now and unmute him. If any of my co-hosts find him before me, please unmute. Okay, I found him. So Dixon, please go ahead to unmute so you can ask your question.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I appreciate this. I want to know, does these principles you're teaching, is it typical to only Africa, or it's applicable globally? And I do network business, and it's specifically Legal Shield. It's supposed to be a generic thing that um, a family, all age, both young, teenagers, adults, and every class. It makes legal or justice affordable, which is for less than 75 cents a day, someone can have a lawyer 24 hours for his whole family. Now, in such kind of business, how do one apply what you're teaching to it? It's something everyone can use. How do you target your audience?
Okay. All right. So
Thank you,
nice
Dixon.
question. Okay. So you've got this product that caters to, I mean, everyone in the family can use. It's not clearly, I mean, you can't clearly separate, these things. So when you're marketing, you've got to speak the language that appeals to the family unit system, for instance. So take, for instance, we've got products that all family members can use, okay? But when it comes to marketing, folks who try to reach people during the advertisement, make sure they speak the language which can appeal. Of course, when you're running a business, for instance, like yours, where you're appealing to the father, for instance, the mother, the children, when you come to, you understand that kiddies may not be able to afford it. You still have to like speak to their parents. Automatically, they get to pay the bills. When you're dealing with, children, well, some teenagers can be able to afford themselves. But when it comes to marketing, you're basically speaking the language the adults, that's the parents, those who will be able to call the shots, will be able to understand, so that eventually you're able to push your products. Now, it is like you having to push a product where you're dealing with, sorry, I'm trying to deviate a bit from your own line of business. Let me use the popular Golden Mon, for instance, we have here in Nigeria. I believe you're a Nigerian who is in diaspora. For such a cereal, for instance, it caters to every family member. Everybody can take it. But over time, it has become really popular with children. But when they're advertising, they tend to want to appeal to the children. But of course, the parents call the shots. The kids wouldn't have to go and get the stuff for themselves in the market. Okay. So maybe your advertisement or how you put across your content should be able to appeal, especially if maybe your marketing or if majorly is online, I think your motor business, or where you're basically dealing with your business online. But however, you want to be sure that you're speaking to the language that appeals to the people who calls the shots. That's the parents, okay? The adults. You're speaking their language, you're marketing such that they are able to say, okay, this thing would appeal to my children or appeal to my teenager. And then in trying to market or do all of these things, you want to be sure that you're pushing you're not pushing the features of your business. You're not pushing the features of your products. You're pushing its benefits. That's the benefit of your products. And you're also trying to make them see the fantasy attached to buying your product. So take, for instance, someone who is trying to market a product, maybe to a housewife, for instance. maybe a housewife whose husband may have a tendency of going outside, for instance. Now, the idea is to help her paint the fantasy that if she buys your product, her husband will stay put at home. You know, her husband will find only her appealing. Her husband, that's a fantasy you're painting. The idea is not to push the features of your product. Don't say your product, deals them with them, caters for children, it caters for the adults, it caters for the mother and father. The idea is just to paint the picture of what they stand to gain by using your product. The fantasy attached. In sales, we say it is important to paint fantasies, because what you're doing is you're taking them through a journey. You're taking them to the end point of your product versus taking them on a journey in your product. When they're able to see the end, okay, they're seeing the end without even buying your product. They tend to want to make an informed decision of, okay, this is what I will get when I eventually use your product, when I eventually ask my kids to sign up for your product or buy your product or services. Okay, so the idea is to make them see that end point. But many businesses tend to make that mistake. We're trying to take them on the step-by-step process of how our business is done. Okay, customers do not care about you. They don't care about you. They care about what they stand to gain from your product. So when you save them the details of how you did this or how you came about this product or did that, it would for a very to a very large extent help you, convert more paying customers or get more parents to, sign up for these things you're selling. So make sure you're painting the end product, the fantasy, that thing where even the overall satisfaction that would come from using your products as a business person.
Joy, let me ask though, or let me also pitch in, which is that he's talking about a legal service, right? And legal services is not necessarily what everybody needs every day. So back to what you were talking about being, you need to niche down. As an example is, which kind of people actually need legal services at this point? Is it immigration? Is it people who have immigration challenges? Is it people who have housing challenges or challenges with their landlords? Is it people who have, so when you define that from a need state point of view, then possibly you are able to sharpen who you should be talking to. It doesn't mean that you totally ignore all the others. So let's say you sharpen yourself to say, I'm going to focus on immigration. You don't ignore all the others, but at least you are known for something. And you make sure you follow the steps that, Joy is highlighting about making sure that, you are showing, what are the real benefits and the likes. And then, you market your service in that way. That could be also an approach. Kule is saying that he wants you to finish the presentation, so we need to stop asking you questions. But there are so many questions that people had already previously asked, and we're trying as much as possible to make sure that we're answering people's questions and they're, we're actually solving their needs tangibly. Okay, so up on the slide is closing the sales. Joy, please tell us about how we close our sales.
Okay, so that's the sales hacks that deliver. Is that where we are at?
Oh, okay. What I see here is closing sales.
Yeah, I think. Okay, closing sales. Okay, let's get to closing sales. Okay, so in closing sales, many people tend to make the mistake of okay, well, there's nothing bad in you studying your competitors. That's your competition. There's nothing bad in you, but then there's everything bad in copying everything they are doing. So there are different brands, there are different businesses, and there are unique services we offer. Every business has a unique should have a unique selling, proposition, where this is what stands you out from other businesses. Now, but it is also very important that you study your competitors, okay, such that you can also see areas, what makes them tick and what you are doing and what you can also, try to inculcate in your business You're not copying them verbatim. You're not taking everything they are doing, but you also want to check here and there and see areas, things you can actually, just pick out to also use to spice up, your mode of your business and then your mode of trying to get customers. So in closing sales, so I'll go back again to the illustration I gave. Now the closing sales, the close comes after you have won the heart of your prospect during marketing. So you have done all you can do. And then now you are at this point where what is next is to close the sale. Now, in closing sales, you've got to make sure you're breaking down the difference between your prospect choosing you over the other person, over your competitor. It is very important. Many times there are different products. There may be 5 products that provides the same services, okay? But with each product, there ought to be something unique, okay? Something a bit diverse, something a little bit extra over the other. Everybody has something extra. Now, but it will also depend on your prospect to see that, okay, your own extra is what will make he or she, okay, get that ultimate satisfaction in buying your product or signing up for your services or buying whatever you have to, put out there for sale. So you want to show them the difference between your extra and other people's extras. It is very important. So how do you do in closing your sales? You don't close sales without adding a few freebies here and there, okay? A few things. So for instance, you whose business, centers around selling legal services, you may also want to look at going some notches higher, okay? To add 1 or 2 things that ordinarily may seem you wouldn't break even at the end of the day. But because you're adding this extra, it gives your own product or your services a little edge that makes your prospect say, oh, I want to close this deal with you. I want to actually take you or, sign up with you versus signing up with other persons. So it could be maybe there's these services I'm trying to offer you, okay? But when you take these services, it comes with this free part again. People love freebies, especially freebies attached to, monies they have to give out. All right. When you give something free, attaching it to something you're offering to sell, it makes that person feel, wow, okay, you have gone that extra mile. It makes that person feel, okay, I'm actually paying you for something you're giving me that is a bit higher than how much or what I would actually get it for out there. So the idea in closing sales is to announce all the biggies attached to what you're trying to sell them, okay? You're trying to make them understand that you buy, okay, take for instance, we see products, they will say, okay, when you buy this, you get 1 free. When you do this, there's a free delivery attached to it. When you buy this, like I said earlier, you get 2 years warranty. And when you buy this, we follow you home to install it for free. In closing sales, all of these little things here and there puts that extra on your product and then makes your prospects begin to ask him or herself, this option was not available in the previous product someone marketed to me. I better go with your product, or I better sign up with you. I better buy your services. So in closing sales, you don't close sales. You don't close bland sales. You don't close sales on a flat scale. You want to add something extra to entice and push that person, further to want to sign up with you or buy your product. Then in closing sales, you don't want to look desperate. Okay, so you've gone through the hurdle of marketing your product. You're now at the sales stage, and then the person is kind of dragging her feet. Now, not based on sales objection, but it could be perhaps based on trying to sleep on it. I've had to deal with clients that would say, your product, your services are wonderful. I want to sleep on it. Okay. And then in sleeping on it, there's a thin line between them sleeping on it and then, closing this, making this sales closure possible. you're thinking anything can happen at this juncture. This person may come and say, I'm not interested any longer, or somebody else offered me something. So it's at that point you want to begin to, like, think of those extras, even whilst you're not looking desperate. Give them space. It's okay. It's okay it's okay to have a break in between. Give your prospects a space. Okay. When they say they want to think about it, give them space. And then, you want to reach them back again. You're reaching them back again to, like, follow up. And then, you're adding the extras, to further strengthen their possibility of signing up or buying your product. Then also, you want to be firm and precise or concise. For instance, there are folks whom you're trying to sell your services to, and then in trying to want to close the sale, they are trying to, like, beat down the price further. Now, this isn't the sales objection thing. They've got the money. They are showing you they've got the money to spend, but they want to, like, haggle, some more to beat down this price. Okay. Some persons begin to, like, show desperation and say, okay, instead of me losing you, I better sell at this price, and then, so I can get this markup. But don't forget that you're in business to make profits. Sometimes it's good to just be firm. You want to be firm and then keep hitting at the benefits of your product. You're firm and you're hitting at the extras you have to offer. Okay, you're firm and then you're making them see the difference between them signing up with you or buying your else. All right. The idea is to make sure you're pushing, like I said, you're painting the end. You're painting the fantasy. Okay. It's like in copywriting. When you're running a business online, you can't separate running your business online and then dealing or having to churn out sales copies. Okay. Sales copies is like you're trying to sell through words. All right. It's a different thing if you were operating a business that is purely offline. You can say whatever you have to say. If you're closing the sales on the telephone, you don't have to write anything. You say all you have to say on the telephone. Okay. What the person has to deal with that will be emotions. Try to, like, figure out on this end of the phone, how you're, like, using your words, how you're chipping, how you're trying to play on the person's emotions psychologically. But when you're dealing with a business online, okay, you've got to deal with sales copies. And then in writing sales copies, we say you don't let them see the journey or make your prospects know the journey. Okay, involved. You're painting fantasy with words. Okay. Like I gave you an instance, that woman whose husband may likely go out, and you're trying to sell her underwears, or maybe some pants and some bras, for instance. And you're telling her, okay, come and buy this product. It's good for you. I mean, anybody can say, come and buy this product. It's good for you. But when you paint that fantasy, this particular one I'm selling, when you buy it, your husband will come running home from work every day. You're painting, you're making her see some fantasies that can become a reality. Oh, when I buy this product, okay, my husband would actually come home early. It would make your husband will find you irresistible. All right. Things like that. The idea is to paint fantasies, paint things that would make your audience understand that, okay, I am trying to buy this product, because I actually want to, get to this journey. So it's a process. There's a journey. So in closing sales, you still do not stop at, you still do not relent. You continue to paint fantasies. In sales, we say it's not over until it's over. You can't keep your mouth shut. I'm not saying you come across being a talkative, but the idea is you don't rest on your ass until you have made sales. And so you know when to keep quiet and know when to chip in those triggers that will strengthen the person's possibility of paying, parting ways with her money or his money to buy that services, parting ways with her money or his money. And then this is the area where you have salesman and salespeople, the salespersons, abroad, you have the salesman or the people who go around from door to door, trying to sell some products or, speak to people. Now, this is their niche, okay? They understand that the idea is to entice you with words and then make you part ways with your money. But you're dealing with stuff online where you're not speaking to people directly or having to make those sales calls or come up with sales scripts. Then it means that, your sales copies has to be top notch. in closing your deals, in closing your sales, you have got to make sure that you let them see the difference between choosing you over someone else. I had a client one time, and then she told me she was struggling with sales. And then, when I spoke to her, I marketed her. I had been actually marketing to her. And then, one day we got to that point where I needed to close this sale, and then she told me, she mentioned one of my competitors who, I know she does, she's good too, So she told me, look at what she told me, that's my competitor, what my competitor told her, concerning her own services and everything, and then, but it looks as if mine was, she told me like mine was a bit different and then, better than the offer she got, but then she wasn't convinced just yet. So at that point, I needed to make her see the difference. Okay, I got her to that level where she understood that my own extra was more than my competitors, but I still needed to make her understand that, in going with this one, you're going to actually scale up to so and so area. You're going to actually be at this level, but, in following the other person or dealing with any other person, this is where you're stuck at. All right. So the idea in closing sales is to keep hitting at it. Keep hitting at your benefits and fantasies. That is the word, fantasy. Don't stop at that. You keep hitting at it such that the person, in sales, we say it's like knocking out someone. When you take tranquilizers, you're knocked out. At that point, at a point, you're like, okay, I just need to sleep. I can't help it again. So in sales, you've got to know how, and then also where to hit your prospect such that, I'm not saying you hit them cunningly. You're hitting them with the facts and realities on ground concerning your products, okay? Concerning your services. I tell people, don't say what your product cannot do. Don't go and cook up a thing and say my product can do this. And then when you sell it or the person signs up for it, the person would find that it's not it, okay? You know what they say? They say it's better to have one customer come back to you 100 times, because if he or she's able to come back to you 100 times, there's a possibility of her bringing with her 100 more persons versus one customer, patronizing you and then running off from there because they are angry or disappointed in what you have sold them or what you have, promised them with your product. So it's important that you knock them out based on the benefits of your product, based on the fantasies your product can meet, based on the problems your product can solve, and even more, such that they understand that, they've really got, they have a dependable force in you, in buying or signing up for your products. So that's okay. In closing sales, I think there's somewhere I haven't touched. I've touched handling sales. Okay, we've touched sales hacks that deliver. However, what sales hack and deliver? I think, yeah. Okay, sales hacks that deliver. I have touched know your audience. The next one is, know your problems and fantasies. I have touched a bit on fantasies. Now, the problems your product solve. Some of us jump into businesses we haven't really done adequate research on. One of the things that makes a business tick is the ability to be creative. You want to do something extra over what your competitor is doing. You want to bring in something extra to the table. You want to make sure you're adequately researching trends, new trends in your businesses, okay? New areas, such that you create products or you have addendum products, added to the ones you already have on ground that will continue to meet the need of your prospects, okay? It is very important that you know the problems of, your product solve. It is very important when you're armed with the adequate information that revolves around the problems your product solve, you can easily create freebies or create extras that can be added to the services or products that you sell, so much that we find really attractive to want to sign up. Okay, and then I tell people there's no it's not out of place if you're doing stuff your competitors are not doing. Okay, if ordinarily your profits you would make maybe maybe 100,000 naira profit, the profit margin 100,000 naira, and then for you to add on something extra onto the product you have on ground, you have to part ways with 20K, just to gain the loyalty of your prospect or have them bring in more persons. I usually advise you can split your profits. The idea is such that, you're giving something, you're over delivering. You may have under promised. I tell people under promise and over deliver, in trying to make sales happen back to back, in trying to hit sales consistently. Make sure you are under promising and over delivering. If you're in the service business, okay, that's another hook to get them coming back, over and over again. You're not being predictable, but you're under promising them, telling them, okay, we can actually get these services, we can actually offer you this service, say in 2 days' time. And then in 30 minutes, you have called them to be like, okay, wow, the stuff is ready. That's you under promising and over delivering. With that, you're actually getting them, more hooks to your brand, more hooks to your product. Things like that also drives consistency with sales. Then again, in the sales hacks that sales hacks that deliver, you want to speak the language of value. I said that earlier. For the guy who's into legal services, you don't want to come on social media, for instance, and then every day you're telling us about this service you're rendering, this legal service you're rendering, that legal service you're rendering. Over time, you will bore us. Okay, depending on how you're running this business, or what social media platform you're running, or it could even be from your website. All right, your website, where every website has the opportunity to go into blogging. So you want to also blog about your services. Give values that also are attached to your services. Okay, give some freebies. All right, people love freebies. Freebies help people get acquainted to your brand. So for running a business online or even offline, it is very important.
Just a second, right? I really, really hate to interrupt you, but we normally would end at 6 o'clock. So I know that the regulars are waiting to to get some of their questions out there, and some of them you are already answering, which is fantastic, because we've had a number of questions about closing sales, about sales hacks, about pricing, and those things you tackled already within the content. There are a few that I would like to make sure that you address, because you're definitely dropping a lot of value bombs, right? Kule, I'm sorry, we will have to just pause because we have to take people's questions. We have to make sure that we're addressing individual needs on the basis upon which they joined the webinar. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm sure it's going to relate to sales hacks as well, but at least you are able to tailor it to what the need is. For everyone, please, we will target to end on the dot of 6:30. We have a few questions we'd like to answer. If you have a specific question you would like Joy to answer, please either you type it in or you raise your hand and you can ask it verbally. So Joy, this person is saying, I have just moved to business development as a business development manager, and I'm quiet. But now I have to learn to talk about products and services. What tips do you have for this person to become a great salesperson, and then any kind of personal development that the person has to do so that they can become a lot more upfront on selling and closing the sale?
Okay, so nice question. So the truth is, for some persons initially when they jump at business, it takes a while or a little while. The thought of sales actually scares some people. Okay, the idea where you have to crawl out of your shell, your comfort zone. You don't know what to expect. You don't know if you're going to get a yes or a no. That can be really scary and frustrating. But the thing is, in sales or in trying to convert a paying customer, you have got to understand that when people say no, they're not rejecting you. They're not saying no to your person. They're saying no to your products or services. Okay, so which means that you have a better chance at still working on yourself to know how to come across as a person. So for someone like you who's just, delved into this niche, business development, it is very important you work on your communication skills. It is really important. They say business salespeople have sweet mouth. That's true, because that's true, because you have got to know how to chip in words, how to woo and entice your prospects such that they have no choice than to sign up for your product. And like I said, one of the things that gives us confidence is you knowing your product in and out, okay? Because in you trying to sell a product to someone, you don't know what question will hit and question will come. And the last thing you want to happen to you is for a person to ask you a question and you're like blabbing, or ask you a question and you're like, you don't know what to say. So it means that you've got to be a reader. So what I tell people is there are loads of free resources online. And then good thing, we have Google, okay? You want to Google how to be a better salesperson. These things are just there, okay? I mean, we're in an age where everything we want to know, is staring us in our face. But one thing is, many of us tend to want to laze around, we're like lazy to want to dig out this information and then read them and consume them. So on Google, as simple as how can I be a better salesperson, a whole lot of resources will pop up. You can read up, you digest, you practice. You want to also practice, over the mirror, all right? Because depending on the kind of business you're on, some marketing and sales activities may involve you meeting people face to face, all right? Like the bankers, the bankers, whilst they may be doing some online on phone, but for the marketers, they have to go from place to place, speaking with people. And then, marketers don't have to be timid, okay? You've got to be outspoken, know your onions too well, such that you're answering questions, know your products so well, okay? Soak up knowledge in and out, such that whenever these things come, you're able to stand and answer them. And then when you do, it doesn't matter if, you now have sales objections. You've done your part. What you now have to do after getting sales objections is to, like I said earlier, know areas, how to fortify information, how to add information and extras that will make people, eventually want to sign up for your product. But as simple as Google, get on Google, and there's another search engine I use, Answer the Public, answerthepublic.com. There are loads of resources you can find there also. It's also a search engine, and then it's more specific. So when you get there, you would see resources to read about this.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Joy. Know your product in and out. Study, read up about selling. You said Google. Please mention that website again.
Answerthepublic.com.
Answer the public. Elvis, please could you post it in the group there, in the chat box, answerthepublic.com, so that everyone can reference that. Gabriel Sani, I'm going to unmute you now. Please unmute yourself. And please ask your question verbally. Friends, we're targeting to end at 6:30. Please stay with us.
Good evening, ma.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We can hear you.
My question to Ms. Joy is that as a business person, like in the case of where you have hike in prices, and then you are trying to maintain balance between the prices and then maintaining standard as well. How do you go about it so that you still stay afloat in the market, so that you don't in trying to maintain standard, yet the price is becoming high? How do you maintain that standard so that your competitors will not override you? That's my question.
Okay, thank you. So, we live in a climate where, of course, we know economically things aren't stable. Today, this product is this way, is this price, tomorrow it has gone up and everything. And then I don't think even with your competitors, there's a hike in price. Your competitors also would feel that there's a need to also, jack up prices here and there when it comes. So in a case where there's a hike in price, of course, you've got to add, if your product, for instance, is 1,000 naira, and you've got to like add 100 or 300, you can't go lower than that because you won't be able to, break even, then you still would have to hike the price. However, you've got to look for ways to try to still rub in the benefit of that product in a way that makes it look as if, there's added value to this thing, okay? Yes, this thing has gone up in price, but the value remains the same. In fact, the value, there's no better time as having, getting a whole lot of value from this product than now, even though the price has gone higher. You want to continue to rub in on the benefit and the fantasy involved, or also on the problems the product solves. All right. Take for instance, there are brands that we see on TV. When they come on, they tell you, okay, this price is this. Maybe we ordinarily know, we know the street price. You go to the local market, they tell you the price has gone higher. And then they come on TV and they announce that they won't tell you the price has gone higher. They would advertise, they'll come up with a new advert, a more interesting advert. And at the end, they tell you maybe Coca-Cola, now 150. Initially it was 100 naira, okay? But what did they do? They had to now cook up a very interesting advert. When we see on TV, we're like, wow, it's a new advert from Coca-Cola. I like this man, the way he did his hand. I like that lady on that jet. Lady who wore blue and everything. Everything looks really, really, really flashy. It's the same Coca-Cola, but it's a new advert. But at the end, they're not telling us it's 150, no longer 100 naira. Do you understand? What they did, they played on our side. I mean, there was some psychological twist there. All right. It's the same Coca-Cola, nothing added to it. The same taste we have already known, but they had to come up with something juicier to catch our attention. And at the end of the day, they didn't tell us it's no longer 100 naira. It is now 150. They just told us Coca-Cola now 150. They took away the attention from it was formerly 100 naira, but now it is 150. But then something, they came up with a bang. So for you who's into business and then there's a hype, what you want to do is you want to push your marketing strategy some notches higher. All right. If you have an online presence, you want to make your sales copy a whole lot more enticing, such that at the end you tell them that it is now blah blah blah, certain amount of money, and they're not saying why did it increase, but they have taken note of this new bang or this new way of you communicating the value your products provides for them. All right. So the attention is drawn away from the price and now shifts to the expertise or the razzmatazz involved in your new style of advertising your products. So it takes strategy and knowing what to fuse in to do that.
Fantastic, Joy. I see that Otobong's hand is raised. And I did make a commitment to everyone that we're going to end at 6:30, so which means we have 2 minutes. I've asked you to ask I'm unmuting you. Please ask your question so quickly. I trust Joy to handle it ever so quickly, and then we wrap up.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Okay, so my question is with respect to price. Okay, so I work in the industry where the price is not, it's very, very dynamic. So how do one now get to win over clients who already are already using a particular brand, and but because of the price issue, they are willing to go for a lesser price, even when what you are offering is even more than or what they are currently or what the other brand they are currently using, it's better. But because of the price and because of, how the economy is, everybody now trying to cut costs. They are not willing to go up. How do you get to win over such clients when they bring in price as an objection?
Okay, thanks. Joy, you answered that. You mentioned that quite often. Can you just answer that question ever so quickly, which is that it has a good quality, but it has a higher price, and the customer is pushing the price objection in his face.
Okay, so I think I touched that a bit earlier.
Oh yes, you did.
Yeah, I did. So concerning the issue of price and then quality, you want to continue. I mean, if the price has gone higher, a product has gone higher, and you know too well that you lowering your price would not make you break even. I usually don't advise people to tamper with the pricing. What you have to do is to beef up your advertisement, beef up your marketing, rub in the benefits of your product more than ever. You understand? The idea is when you're consistent with something, when you're consistent with, pushing or hitting hard at what your product stands to achieve, there will be some people who will understand with you, okay, based on where you're pushing their eye, it depends on what you're pointing their eyes to, or the angle at which you're pointing their, attention to. You're not dealing with price. Yes, the price has gone higher, but you have got to continuously hit at the benefits, okay? Make the benefits more enticing. It's the same benefit. You're not lying about it. You're not saying there's an addendum benefit, but there are ways you've got to strategically, structure them, break them down in a way they would understand that the product is worth what it is being advertised for, okay? Sometimes we tend to want to just continue. It doesn't make sense to want to lower price because your competitor, has a cheaper product, all right? And then wants to, okay, if need be, you can still hold on to this product of yours. If you're dealing with something, if you're dealing with a business where you can also acquire the kind of products your competitors have, and add them to what you already have. If it's possible, then you can do that also, all right? So you don't lose that on both ways. Otherwise, if you're not able to sell the kind of products they sell, and you have yours, and then the price has gone up, I don't advise you bring down the price. What you need to do is just to jack up your marketing gimmicks, okay? Make sure you're doing it in a way that they understand that indeed this product is such that, is worth what you're offering it for.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joy. And you also talked about add freebies, give added value, bring the differentiation, highlight your benefits. You've talked quite a lot about, about those things in the last hour and a half. Listen, Joy, we can only just appreciate you and appreciate everyone who's been, with us since 5 o'clock. There's so much that you have taught in this time, and you've made it very tangible. You've made it quite, easy to understand and easy to execute. Friends, I'm just going to tell you that the best of knowledge is all that it is unless and until you act on it. We've learned so much in the last, 1.5 hours. Please take action. Execute what you have learned, because that is what moves the needle. And it's about hitting your sales target. It's about turning your business around. It's about growing your business. And Joy has done this for free. We thank you. You've done this for free. It's your contribution to helping the entrepreneurial landscape within the country, and we're quite appreciative of it. Everyone also is appreciative. There are quite a lot of messages that are saying thank you. Amazing ideas you have shared. Thank you so much. Everyone have a lovely evening. Please continue to stay safe and keep hitting your targets. I wish you the very best. Have a lovely evening. Bye.
Thank you.